All right, we're back here inside the Mall of America. We've spoken to him a few times over the course of the season. Always great to catch up with him here on Radio Row. That's the former NFL quarterback in Dan Orlovsky. Dan, great to see you. How are you?
Good to be here, man. It's an exciting area, Radio Row, so it's good to be here.
So you play in the National Football League. Did you ever do Radio Row as a player or anything like that?
No, as a rookie in 2005 when the Super Bowl was in Detroit, where I was a rookie, I made the brilliant choice of never going to a Super Bowl unless I played in it. Long story short, I never came close to it, so this is my first Radio Row. It's been a really cool experience, though. Well,
you're a rookie. I know you're a rookie. You go from playing to now being a rookie in the broadcasting field. What do you make of this? Usually it's more spread out, but now it's all tight together. There's a bunch of people around. You got the food courts and everything. It's very distracting.
I feel like it's Wall Street. Like when you see the stock market, it's just 1,000 people in 10 square feet. And so that's what – I mean, it's really cool, though, for the fans to just – they have such close access and whatnot. So I had an expectation level. This has blown it out of the water.
So now with this team and the Eagles, as we're talking to Dan Orlovsky on Radio Row, it's Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. It's the Zach Gelb Show. You had faith in Nick Foles. You reminded me about it on Twitter as well. So that's a nice job, patting yourself on the back. Yeah. When you get something wrong, we'll remind you about it too. But with Nick Foles, what was it that you saw in him that you said, okay, he could still do this even though Carson Wentz is not playing?
Well, because he had proven to be successful in the NFL before. It wasn't like every time he had gone and played, it was, a mediocre to poor performance. He had success in the NFL previously. And then I've harped on this endlessly is I just felt with the coaching staff that he was with. He wasn't with a defensive coach that just had an offensive coordinator who was okay and whatnot. He's with the head coach and an offensive coordinator and a quarterback coach that really know offensive football and really know quarterbacking in the NFL. And so when you have those guys that you share your room with and you've had success in the NFL is at the position, there was just all those variables made me go, well, he's got a chance to do well.
There's no ego really. There's egos on every team, but there's no huge egos that are a detriment to this team. And that's a big thing, too. And I think it helps, like you're saying, because you have Doug, career backup. You have Frank Reich, backup. And when they lose players, just like Howie did a great job constructing this team, but when they lose a Jason Peters, Big V, he could fill in. Mm-hmm. You lose a Carson Wentz. Yeah, Nick Foles not going to be Carson Wentz, but he could fill in. You lose a Jordan Hicks. You have other guys that step up. You lose a Chris Maragos. Other guys step up. And Darren Sproles, on and on and on. And I know teams preach next man up, but some teams, they don't have the roster to go next man up. Look at the Packers this year. Totally different team. Not even a team that could float without Aaron Rodgers. The Eagles, that's a team that they have the belief in them, and you know it. A big part of this position in this game is having that belief.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on teams that had to go do, hey, next man up, and you'd sit in meetings going, Coach, you don't believe that. You don't believe that we're going to be okay with the next man up because you know what kind of player is coming up. And so, I think it's such an underspoken and undervalued thing that's going on right now is every time a team in sports wins a championship, you always hear them go, we cared about each other so much. We just loved being in the locker room. These guys were such great teammates. And that's all you hear out of Philadelphia right now. And I think a big part of it comes from the top down. I think their head coach has this unique way of building confidence into their guys where they started to believe in themselves, and then they believe in each other, and then they believe in their head coach, and then it's like, wow, we can really do this, guys. And I think that's going to be like the underlying factor that's going to propel them to win this game Sunday is it's that locker room is so close. And I've been in locker rooms that were close, and we've won games because of it. I've never been in one that seems to be this close that has kind of carried them to the Super Bowl.
When you look at Tom Brady and the level of success and the longevity, 2001 Super Bowl champion, 2003, 2004, then later in his career, just crushing the stats and doing unprecedented things. We've never seen this in the National Football League ever before from someone to dominate for this long with the same coach. You're just in awe of it. I know we expect it now, and we take it for granted. Mm-hmm. Tom, if you don't win the Super Bowl, it's a failure of a season, and he knows that expectations now with the Twidiots and everything and how people look at things, but it's amazing that they're still here for this long, and they keep on getting here.
It's really, he's been starting for, 16 years, 17 years, and he's going to play half the years of him being a starter is going to be in the Super Bowl, and 15% of the Super Bowls ever played, Tom Brady's going to play in them. And that might be one of the greatest sports stats ever. It's remarkable, and it's, when Tiger Woods in golf got hurt and golf kind of started to fall off, everyone wanted Tiger back, and we took his success for granted. And we're doing it, like you said, the same with Brady. The thing that's remarkable to me is he somehow has taken an imperfect game with imperfect people, imperfect variables, and an imperfectly shaped ball and become as close to perfect as we've ever seen. And it's that obsession with perfection that is got him where he is. And it's as a fan of football, as a fan of quarterback play, you've got to at least go, wow. I mean, that is whether you like them, the Spygate and deflate, whether that is a thing, you've got to sit back and go, this is remarkable. As a sports person, we may never see anything like this ever.
Oh, we'll never see this again.
In the NFL, I mean, with the parity, we may never see anything like it again, and it's just incredible to watch.
Offensive line play in this game is huge.
Yeah.
We know the Eagles have a very talented offensive line. The Patriots pass rush, I don't know what to make of it. They're a bend-don't-break defense. They don't allow a whole lot of points. They had a really ugly start in the beginning of the year like most Belichick teams do, and they find their way. They get in their groove. And then you look at the Patriots' offensive line, not the strength of this team, but not the biggest weakness of this team. And you see them going up against a ferocious and a really disruptive defensive front of the Philadelphia Eagles. Offensive line play, I think it's the biggest key in this game.
Yeah, I mean, everyone keeps talking about the Eagles' defensive line needs to get to Brady. Well, duh. We know that.
Duh.
So use that to your strength. Yeah, but,
yeah.
The thing that stands out is as more, and I'm not an offensive line expert, but I've been around offensive lines that were really good. I was around the offensive line that kind of catapulted Arian Foster becoming a big-time NFL back. And the thing that, like, when I watch the Eagles guys, and then it brings me back to those times, is, like, when you watch the Eagles, those guys on the field, it's personal to them. Like, they are taking this, it's very personal. If you watched Kelsey last week finish on Anthony Barr a couple times downfield, there's not guys in the NFL doing that.
But that's another guy that was told, he's done.
Yeah.
You're too small. And this year, loving the offensive line position. I'm obsessed with the offensive line position. To see the way that he pulls, the athleticism, and even Lane said, you put an extra chip on that guy's shoulder, and he's proven everyone wrong.
Yeah, and
year.
I think that's going to be Sunday night again, right? I mean, again, everyone's talking about the Eagles' defensive line, rightfully so, but there's not a lot of people mentioning how dominant and how good the Eagle offensive line is, and you've seen it all throughout the playoffs. Watching what Jacksonville did to New England, if you're Philadelphia, you feel really good about going, maybe we could spread them out a little bit and just run right downhill at them because that's our strength. So I love watching them play because strictly it's effort. I mean, you can watch those guys. It's personal to them. It matters to them. So if the New England offensive line plays kind of how they've been, it'll be interesting to watch.
Is the stage too big for the Eagles? I know that could be a silly question, but a team, yes, they have some players that have done it, but not as much experience, obviously, as the Patriots have. We've seen the Eagles get off to slow starts. You got to play 60 minutes up against the Pats. How about the stage?
It's not a silly question. It's a real one. I mean, that's a valid question because of all the variables and the reasons you said. I continue to harp on the fact that they've got this coaching staff that is just as good as New
England's. And they're confident.
And this coaching staff's got 30 years of playing in the NFL and 50 years, and I think that's going to give them enough to go, all right, well, when I was a junior at UConn, we opened up a new stadium. We went from like 10,000 people stadium to 40,000 people stadium. And I remember I had this head coach, or my quarterback coach, a guy named Rob Ambrose, grabbed me when I was walking out of the tunnel. He said, listen, walk out of the tunnel, take it all in for 15 seconds because you deserve it, and then reset. And I think that's what they're going to, Philadelphia, you got Doug and Frank. He's going to tell us, listen, when you walk out of that tunnel, enjoy it for a couple seconds. You're here in the Super Bowl. You've earned it and deserve it. But then let's reset because it's a football game. We've got to go win this football game. And you can't, as much experience as New England has to play in this game, well, Philadelphia's got it as far as playing in the game too. It's just on their coaching staff, And so I think that's going to be wisdom imparted to their players to handle it well.
All right, I know you're picking the Eagles. Tell me how this one plays out on Sunday in your mind.
Obviously a close game. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be an unsung hero for Philadelphia's offense that is going to be the Deion Branch of the Super Bowl. I think Burton is going to have a huge game.
I agree with you.
Because
I think he's going to play well.
Man-to-man, if New England plays man-to-man, which you would say we have to because of the RPOs, the run-pass options, someone's going to get wore out by Burton all game. And so I think that it's going to be a higher scoring game. You're not going to stop Brady a bunch. He's really good as the Eagles defense is. I think there's matchup opportunities for the Philadelphia offense. I would be surprised if I'd be surprised if watching it, Philadelphia wasn't in control the whole game and wins a close game, not at the end, but just wins a close game.
Also in this matchup with these two teams, you look at what's going to happen on Sunday in the Super Bowl as we're talking to Dan Orlovsky. I just look at this matchup. I think this is going to be a classic. I really do.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of great sporting events over the years. When you look at the NCAA championship games, basketball and football, last year 28-3. Just with both of these teams, I really do believe
because
they're
the two best. They're the two best coaching staffs, and they're the two best rosters in the NFL. And that is the Super Bowl. I mean, we are going to get the Super Bowl. It's the best staffs and the best 1 through 53 teams. So I think it's going to be a fantastic. It's going to be the ultimate chess match, right? I mean, it's Patricia versus Frank and Doug Peterson. That's going to be a great chess match. And then it's going to be Schwartz versus McDaniels. And again, you've got all those aspects that you want in the Super Bowl.
And
right?
you know what I'm curious? I'm curious to see how, when you look at a Belichick team, Belichick takes away your strength. What's the Eagles' strength on offense? What does he take away?
That's the great thing about them is they're built like New England. New England has 6 really good players on offense. They don't think they have running backs or slot receivers. They're just football players. And the Eagles are built the same way. So that's one of those things. Okay, if you're Belichick and New England, what do you take away? Well, conventional wisdom says, well, we've got to take away the RPO because they've been killing teams on it. And so how do you do that? You blitz the back or you play man-to-man. Well, if you play man-to-man, the Eagles don't have one guy that you can lean towards or dominate. You know, they've got 6 or 7 really good players that they can disperse all over the field.
Dan Orlovsky, great stuff. We appreciate it as always.
Thank you for having me, man.
Where can people follow you on Twitter one more time?
@Dan Orlovsky 7.